Hey, what's up? So you're probably wondering, hey, have you settled in now? Hey, is your Japanese fluent yet? And hey, can I stay with you? And the answers to those are no, no, and hell no. And the reasons why is because this apartment is small, just like everything else in Tokyo. I'm still trying to adjust to everything, like the heat, the humidity, and just everyone talking in Japanese all the time. But I just took a really fat nap and I thought it would be a great time to do an apartment tour. I really have nothing going on today anyways besides sleeping and figuring out how to fix the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi in my room is working on my phone, but it's not working on my laptop for some reason, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. I think it's a problem with the router, but that's something that the apartment people will help me out with. So I thought I'd do a somewhat quick apartment tour, show you all the features and functionalities of a Japanese apartment and how actually small it is. When I first arrived, I actually thought it was bigger than I assumed it was going to be, so you might be surprised and be like, oh, it's bigger than I thought, but most of you will be like, you're living in a box. And I'm okay with that because I'm trying to live a little more minimalistically now. I think it's a little better to not have too many personal possessions just because it's other things that you need to carry around with you, or when you move from place to place, it's something that you need to always bring with you. And I apologize if there's a lot of background noise right now. My apartment is actually next to a really busy street, so there's a lot of foot traffic and cars that go by pretty much 24/7. I've noticed that it's not super bad when I sleep, but otherwise during the day as well, it gets pretty noisy if I'm around. But I'll be starting school next week, so I won't be in my apartment as often. But okay, let's get this apartment tour going. Alright, so we'll start at the front door here. This is a front door, and as you can see, there's an automatic light. So when you're in the front door entrance area, you'll be able to see everything because the light turns on automatically. Of course, you have to take your shoes off because that's custom everywhere in Asia, and if you don't, that's a crime. We have some storage stuff here. There's safe. There's just some like areas to put stuff. I've been putting my trash bags here because Japan has a lot of laws about how to dispose of your waste. I actually put a, where did I tape it? Here it is. I taped a little sheet of paper, but for combustible burnable waste, they collect that every Wednesday and Saturday. Incombustible waste, they collect on the first Monday of each month. Recyclables on Tuesday, and yada yada yada. There's just a lot of different things that you need to separate and make sure to know which day that they pick up, because you're supposed to put your trash out every morning depending on what they're collecting during that day. And then I just ruined where my shoes are, but that's fine. So we go straight into the hallway, which basically has all your amenities. We have a burner, your kitchen area, and this here is a little interesting. It's your water heater. So if you don't have this turned on, which I have it turned off right now, but you need to have it turned on in order to actually use hot water. So if you're in a Japanese apartment and you don't have that turned on, you're probably going to be screwed when you try to turn your shower on, just because you won't be able to have any hot water at all. We have the stove and everything here, as I said before. There are no dishwashers usually in most apartments, just because they take up a lot of room. So I'm just using a towel to dry my dishes, and I wash them manually. We have some cupboard space here, a lot of little spaces that you can use to place your dishes and your supplies and things like that. The Japanese are really good at making spaces pretty efficient. So you can put a vacuum cleaner or anything you want here. Now we'll go to the shower and bath area. So usually the shower and bath are combined like this in most apartments. You can see that the shower head is out here. We have a small mirror, and then we have the sink as well. If you turn this dial here, this is going to change whether the water comes out of the sink or the shower head. And then you have your hot and cold water, which you better make sure that you turn on the hot water or it's not gonna work. I made that mistake last night and had to shower in freezing cold water, which was great. Also, for the bathroom itself, there are actual settings that you can use. There is a 24-hour fan that you can adjust here. You can also adjust for hot and cold breezes, use the fan on a timer, or hang your clothes to dry in here as well and use the fan in order to dry your clothes when it's too hot and humid outside. So those are all very cool options. You can hang your clothes through that bar there, and the fan will help to dry your clothes. And you can see that there are two drains too. So the shower head is here, but there is a drain in this shower sink portion, and then also a drain in the bath portion as well. So you can shower wherever you want. You got the freedom to choose where you wanna get yourself all wet at. Moving on, we also have a microwave, a mini fridge, and a water heater as well. I put some of my chopsticks and stuff here as well, but usually this is basically all that you get in apartments like this. It's a mini fridge, but it has a fridge section and a freezer section. Don't really have anything in it right now besides my Pocari sweat because I've been sweating so much, so I need some hydration. Then we'll go into the actual bathroom, the toilet bathroom per se. So this is the bathroom. It's a Japanese toilet, but it doesn't have all the super intense features like the other ones have. It only has the flush feature, which if you flush down or up, it depends on depending on if you flush down or up, it will change how powerful the flush is. So you can choose whether you want the flush to be non-powerful or super powerful for those giant dumps that you take. And when you actually flush the toilet, you'll be able to see that there's a place to wash your hands as well. And this is helpful to save water and things like that. It will drain the water into this area here so you can wash your hands. I don't necessarily use it a whole lot just because there's no real place to like put soap and stuff like that. As you can see, there's just basically a towel rack and that's about it. But to save the earth and stuff, I should start doing that more, and I recommend that you do it too if you're living in Japan, I guess. So that was fun. Then we have the washer, and here are some of my dirty clothes. But the washer itself is right here. Most places don't have actual dryers. Some are washer dryer combinations, but this one is specifically a washer, and it's pretty tiny as you can see. It's not super big, so I think the idea is to just do more loads of wash more frequently rather than waiting a month or two like I do to do all my washing. So that's something fun that I'll have to get used to. And because it's so humid outside and usually hot during the summers, it's more important to wash your clothes more often because you sweat right through them. Alright, now is the main part, my room. So this is the room itself. Pretty nice. I'm using a wide angle lens in order to capture all of this just so you get a better idea of how big the room actually is. So this is my bed. It's actually bigger than I thought it was gonna be. I think it's a double twin, not just a regular twin. So while I probably can fit 2 people on this bed, I'm not gonna do that unless I'm actually married to you or we're deeply in love, because I like to sleep by myself. And as you can see, there's really not very much room besides the bed itself to have people stay over or anything. These apartments themselves are pretty much 1-person apartments. If you can fit 2 people, then you're doing something right, I guess. So we have our setup here. We have our vacuum and then we have our trash can, our desk, our dresser, and our TV that's showing some very cool Japanese programming. Not necessarily get that many channels, so I haven't been able to find the anime channel yet. Haven't really been searching for it super hard yet because I can stream on my laptop, even though my Wi-Fi is not really working yet, so I've just been using my phone most often. But we have a nice small desk setup. We have a nice chair and then a dresser with a few drawers and such. We also got this telephone here, and this isn't like a dial telephone, not something that you have a Japanese number associated with, but it is for the front door, because the front door of the apartment building itself is locked to people who don't live here. So you can buzz people in using this. They'll call you from the little phone box that there is out there, and then you can press the button and let them in and have a great time. If you're able to let people in, because it's pretty small. Not really the place that you want to chill at. This place does have AC as well, AC and heating, so this is an AC heating component here. And let's go into my closet tour, what you've all been waiting for. So I was pretty surprised how big the closet space actually is. It was able to fit my suitcase and my carry-ons and all this kind of stuff. I haven't really unpacked everything yet. A lot of it is still in my suitcase, but I have all my essentials here. Got my backpack, my suitcases and stuff, some clothes. Got my badminton racket right in the corner for when I actually meet badminton friends. I don't know if that's gonna happen though, we'll see. And I have this nice balcony too. Let's open it up here. So this connects to a pretty busy street, as you can already hear. You can see that there's a lot of stuff going on. We also have an escape hatch for when I want to escape reality and just get out of here. This is like a ladder component that leads down to the first floor. Hopefully I'll never need to use that, and I'm not athletic enough to probably use it either, but we'll see what happens. And because a lot of places don't have actual dryers, a lot of people dry their clothes on drying racks like this that are outside. So cool stuff, man. It's loud as hell, but that is that. I usually like to keep the blinds closed as well, just because a lot of heat is generated if you keep them open when the sun shines through and everything like that. We got some more programming here. This looks like a kid's show, and I still probably won't understand anything they're saying. Okay, enough of that. So that's pretty much it for this apartment tour. As you can see, it's pretty small and there's not too much functionality, but it's pretty cozy and I haven't had very many issues with the place so far. I I think you're somewhat hard pressed to find anything bigger than this unless you want to live out in the suburbs or in a rice farm or something like that, just because there is a lot more room there. But if you want to live in Tokyo or a big city like this, you're pretty much cramped for space. I did want to talk a little bit for anyone who's interested about the process of actually getting an apartment. If you're trying to find an apartment in Japan in general, it is a bit of a difficulty if you're from out of the country. A lot of services want you to be in Japan and speak Japanese in order to find a place, and they also want you to be available in order to see the place as well. There are websites online that will help you find a place, but a lot of them also make you have a guarantor. And what a guarantor is it's a person that is in Japan, either a friend, a family member, or someone that you know that isn't a stranger, who is willing to pay any fees that you have if you cannot pay them yourself. And I guess it's been a problem in the past for Japanese people who have been renting out apartments to foreigners, where the foreigners won't either pay the rent, or something happens and the foreigners have no money left and they can't pay for rent, or they won't pay for rent. If you're looking for a way to escape the guarantor fee, there are some companies that cover the guarantor fee for you. You just have to pay an extra fee in order for them to cover those costs. The company I'm using right now is called Metro Residences, and this is 500% not sponsored, but they have been really helpful in acquiring an apartment. I haven't had any issues with them as of yet, but I've also only been in this apartment for about 3 days now. I think it's only been 2 days and a few hours actually. But overall, for the past 2 days, I haven't had any negative experiences. Metro Residence's clientele is more geared towards people doing international business and who are stationed here in Japan for longer periods of time. But what I really liked about it was that rent is paid on a monthly basis, so you don't have to commit to a long-term lease like you do for a lot of other companies that rent out apartments. If you're going through a Japanese company, or even a company that helps you find places but is still kind of Japanese related, a lot of the contracts for places are a year or more. And because I'm not even staying in Japan for over a year, or I might be and I'm not really sure yet, I didn't want to make the commitment in order to stay for a year or 2 years and have that contract weigh on me. Metro Residences really helped me with finding a place in a location that's close to my school, as well as giving me that monthly lease ability so that I don't have to be committed to a contract that is a year or more. All I do is pay the rent on a monthly basis, and if I want to quit the contract, then I just give them a heads up a month before and I'm good to go. Either I can move to another place or move to a place within Metro Residences as well. I'm actually currently trying to move apartments as well, just because I want to cut costs a little bit and live a little farther away from central Shibuya. And also, if you're looking for a bigger place as well, it's probably better to not live super close to any of the big districts like Shinjuku, Shibuya, Akihabara, and Tokyo. Just because the closer you are, especially to a big station, the more cramped you are for apartment room. Even if you live somewhere a little farther out like Sasagawa or Shinagawa, the price will be a lot lower and you'll actually get a lot more space for the price as well. It's just that it is a little farther away from all the touristy spots. So if you're okay with not living in a 10-minute radius to a Daiso or a cat cafe, then I would probably recommend to move a little outside of what is going on. I think that's the main issue for this specific place as well, is it's pretty close to hospitals and other things as well, so you do hear a lot of ambulances and police all the time. Also just because it's right next to a busy street as well. There's a lot of motorcycles and people trying to show off too, so that's not necessarily ideal, but as I said before, I am trying to move out of the area, see if I can get a little bit of a spacier place, and I can do room tour number 2 and also compare the two places. That would be pretty cool. I'm sure you guys are kind of wondering the price range for this specific apartment. It is on the pricier side because it is closer to central Shibuya. It's not super close, but it is probably the closest that I could get to Shibuya Station. And so I am paying a little more just to be closer to where all the action is. I wouldn't call it super expensive, but in my opinion, I'm from the Bay Area, so everything is super inflated there. So you're paying, you know, $1,500, $1,600 for just a room, and that room is probably a box that is smaller than this whole apartment anyways. And so I'm paying within that price range for this place, and it is in walking distance to everywhere that I need to go, which is super convenient. I don't even need to take the train if I don't want to. So I justified the cost of living with the convenience of everything that's going to be around me and made this decision. As I said before, I am thinking about moving to another area just to get a more spacier apartment. I would have a longer commute to school then, but I think that's okay as long as I'm cool with the living conditions I'm actually in. But that wraps up this apartment tour. If you guys have any questions about living in Japan or anything, feel free to comment below. I don't have the experience yet to actually answer all your questions, but hopefully as I accumulate more experience and all that kind of stuff, I'll be able to more or less answer your questions or make videos on what you guys want to see. Alright, that's it. Peace.